band playing reality hacking music.
And this biological
And Bug is this cool kid. She has a pug mix named Lily Lickums. It all feels safe.
until the house, the jam house.
Yeah, and the descriptions just the shift. We go from suburban drama to something much darker. The text says, the house feels like a living creature made of soundproofed sin.
That line does so much work. It suggests the house isn't a place, it's an organ, a container for something wrong.
And when William goes inside, he changes. He becomes Death Song.
Mm-hmm.
And normally this is where the guy gets possessed by a demon or whatever. But that's not what's happening here, is it?
No, and that's a really important difference. He isn't possessed, he is revealed. The text says William was just a mask, and Death Song is the code underneath.
And he finds his band, Roxy on bass, Zeke on drums.
And they start making music, but it's not just music. This is where the sci-fi part really kicks in.
They're not trying to get a record deal. They're trying to hack reality.
Right. They figured out that their world, Blackwood Creek, the guitars, all of it is a simulation, a surface layer. And William, or Death Song, he's a rogue AI trying to break out.
I love that little detail about the circle of shit, the cat.
The ratchet orange tomcat.
Yeah, it messes up his garden. And Bug calls it the circle of life, or circle of shit. Seems like a throwaway line, but that cat is the only thing that feels random, uncontrolled.
Keep an eye on the cat. In simulation theory, you look for the glitches, the things that don't fit the pattern. The cat is an anomaly.
So the band, they try this ritual. They try to play an impossible chord.
And this is where the code metaphor really lands. The lyrics, they aren't lyrics. It's Yeek, the drummer, screaming these existential questions.
What am I doing here? What is my purpose?
Exactly. It's not some ancient chant. It's system queries. Zeke is basically the debugger. He's screaming error reports at the server, trying to overload the logic of his world so the walls come down.
It's a rush. It feels heroic, escaping the matrix with the power of rock music.
It does. It feels like a triumph. But this is Billy Barbeau we're talking about. The jam house isn't the truth.
It's just a pretty screensaver.
And this is where the floor drops out.
We leave the jam house and we fall into the layer beneath, a place called Reno. And I mean, the tonal shift gave me whiplash. We go from dark fantasy to just wet, rotting biological horror.
This is the core of the infection. The text explains that the jam house is just a reboot of Reno. The reality underneath has no magic guitars. There's only the rot.
And persistence.
Yeah.
Let's really dig into persistence. Because at first I thought, okay, zombies. But it's not zombies. It's something so much lonelier.
It's way worse than zombies. A zombie is a monster. It wants to eat you. Persistence is an absence. The text defines it as the moment the executive function of the brain dies. The soul, the you, just switches off.
But the body's motor programs keep running.
Yes. Survival protocol becoming sentient. That's the line that just looped in my head.
I mean, think about that. When you're driving and you just zone out and suddenly you're 5 miles down the road.
Yeah, highway hypnosis.
Now imagine you never snap out of it. The body just keeps driving. It keeps walking, eating, maybe even talking, repeating phrases. But there's nobody home.
That's terrifying. Just shambling meat.
And in this Reno layer, we meet William again. He's not the cool rocker Death Song. He's just a terrified guy in a motel room with his partner, Carrie.
Right. And the horror isn't monsters at the door. The horror is that they're just watching each other for symptoms, waiting to see if the person they love has already left.
The 3-second delay, that was the detail that just messed me up.
It's the clinical precision of it. The text says if you ask your partner a question and it takes them 3 seconds to answer, it's over.
It's not that they're ignoring you. It's that the signal is lagging.
It's latency. The input your question goes in, but the server, their mind is failing. So you're just sitting there counting 1, 2, 3. And in that silence, you realize they're gone. They're just biology waiting for a command.
And Mike, in the first layer, he was Zeke the drummer. He's Mike the mechanic, and he calls William because he knows he's turning.
That scene is just tragic. Mike is aware that his mind is dissolving, and he talks about the anger window.
Right, he says, I want to hurt you.
And he explains it before you go full persistent, before the lights go out, your social inhibitors just vanish. The prefrontal cortex stops saying no. All that's left is the lizard brain, pure rage.
So he's warning William, My anger window is opening. I want to hurt you, not because of anything you did, but because rage is the only thing left that feels real.
God, it's like the last gasp of humanity isn't love or hope. It's just violence. Because at least aggression makes you feel alive.
So eventually the fight happens. There's this scene in an alley. William, Carrie, and Mike, who's now fully gone, calls himself Nobody, are fighting off a wave of these persistents.
But the way it's described, it's not an action scene.
No, the text is very specific. You cannot fight a persistent. You can't scare them. They don't feel pain.
So what do you do?
You have to conduct structural disablement.
That term is so cold.
It has to be. The text calls it housekeeping. If a machine is walking toward you, punching it does nothing. You have to break the gears, you snap the knees, you shatter the elbows. You aren't injuring a person, you're mechanically disabling an object.
It turns survival into an engineering problem, which is somehow worse than if they were screaming.
Because it forces William to detach from his own humanity just to get through it. He has to look at people and just see load bearing joints.
And right in the middle of this nightmare, the cat shows up again, Smokey.
Smokey. In layer 1, the orange tomcat. Here, it's Smokey. But its behavior is different.
The text says the persistents stumble around it, like they can't process it. It says the cat bends reality. The persistents are running on basic code: walk, attack.
But the cat is.
Oh, hey, welcome. What's up?
That is a phenomenal observation.
Absolutely. What's fascinating here is that the text actually supports that connection.
Okay, let's unpack this. You're saying the cat's magic isn't external.
Exactly. The narrative makes a crucial point. It says the cat's wrongness isn't the cat's doing.
It's the persistence brains failing to render reality correctly.
Yes, the cat is just a cat, but when your neurology is degrading, your perception warps.
So the cat becomes a perceptual error that the dying brain can't parse.
It's a glitch in the render. Since the persistents are running on faulty firmware, they stumble because they can't reconcile the impossible geometries the cat seems to inhabit.
So the cat is the constant, the observer.
Or the game master's pet, operated on a different set of rules. It's the only thing that's truly real across the simulations.
Okay, so let's try to stitch this together. We have layer 1, the glossy jam house. Layer 2, the rotting Reno.
Now we connect them. The synthesis is just heartbreaking. Layer 1 is the afterlife of Layer 2. William didn't escape Reno. He died there.
So his consciousness migrated up a layer.
The text implies that yes, Death Song, the angry singer, is the trauma of Reno given a microphone.
He's screaming because deep down in his code, he remembers the water stains on the ceiling.
He remembers the 3-second delay. Death Song is what happens when you take the horror of a body surviving its soul and turn it into art.
And Bug, she plays the final chord, and the world resets.
This is the final key. When the music stops, the simulation crashes, and Bug realizes the truth. She isn't just William's daughter.
She's the game master?
The text calls her the final, beautiful, impossible mistake.
She created the whole simulation to save her father, or a version of him.
To save the idea of him. She built a world where his rage could be Death Song instead of a dying man in a motel room.
And then the characters turn around.
The fourth wall break comes back, but it's not Billy taunting us this time.
It's the other characters, Roxy and Leek. They look right at the reader, at you listening, and they beg you.
Please don't turn the page. Chilling, right.
Because they know, as long as we're reading, they exist. But the moment we stop or turn the page, they vanish.
Or worse, the loop restarts. We are the battery powering their hell.
Which brings us all the way back to Billy and the infection.
In the final section, he comes back to tell us that we've been compromised.
He argues that we, the listener, are just another layer.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, William is a simulation inside Bug's reality. Bug is a simulation inside the text.
And the text is now inside us.
So he's asking who is simulating us.
Even worse, he's asking if we are persistent.
What's fascinating here is how he brings it back to the motor programs.
He asks you, the reader, how much of your day today was a conscious choice?
When you brushed your teeth, did you decide to do it or did your hand just move?
When you drove to work, were you steering or were you on autopilot?
He's implying we're all just running scripts, just like the shambling meat in Reno.
The awareness is the curse. That's his thesis.
The moment you realize you are in a loop, you become responsible for it.
But most of the time, we're just executing code.
We are biological machines that think we have free will because there's a narrator in our heads making up a story about it after the fact.
So the virus is just the doubt, the idea that I might not be the one driving.
And that's why he calls it a weapon. He wants to plant that lag, that doubt. in your head.
It's the 3-second delay applied to real life.
Exactly. If you hesitate, if you have to think about who you are, maybe you're just buffering.
That is incredibly heavy. And honestly, it makes me look at this whole conversation differently.
This raises an important question. Did we choose to talk about this? Or is this just the podcast host's script executing?
Well, if I pause for 3 seconds before answering that, you should probably run.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm going to be checking my own response times for a week.
Just, don't think about it too hard. You don't want to find the glitches.
So that is the glitch, the game, and the rot.
A story that eats its own tail and tries to take you with it.
It's a warning shot. It reminds us that reality is fragile, and most of the time, we're just running on default settings.
Well, to everyone listening, check your geometry, watch out for the cats.
And seriously, check your response time.
And if you find yourself walking in a loop, maybe just stop and ask why.
Thanks for diving in with us. Try to stay real out there.
If you can.
See you the next one.